All right. So we are live, guys. Welcome to the stream. Right now, I'm just waiting on my colleague Sean to arrive. So he is going to be joining us very soon to be a part of this focus. So today, this is our 12 o'clock focus. We're doing 10 to 13 focus activity. So this is something that myself and Sean thought would be a good idea to have a look at, I guess. Um, Paradise on Earth is a bit ironic, seeing how at the moment it's anything but paradise. So we are going to talk about this, guys. We're going to talk about some vocabulary, and we're going to discuss just some different new vocabulary potentially that you haven't seen before. So, if you have any questions, please do ask us. I'm going to keep an eye on the comments section. So if you do have any questions, please let me know. Right. Okay. So this here, guys. Okay. So when you arrive, please introduce yourselves so that we can get a kind of bit of conversation going, I guess. So I'll just do a quick introduction. My name is Cathal. My native country is Ireland. Some of you might know this already if I've seen you in focus activities already, either today or through this week, or maybe even in some schools. I might have seen you. You might have seen me. So I think. Oh, we have one. Hello. Thank you very much to Joss Milano Meravili. Woo, Meravili. So I am a teacher of the Meravili School in Milan, and I have been teaching there for just over 1 year now. So very enjoyable time. Really enjoying that at the moment. So we're just. I think Sean is on the way. He should be here. If not, I think he might be in another one. So we'll give him a minute for him to join. We'll give you guys a minute to join. Okay. All right. So yeah, just so that we can kind of get a bit of conversation going, guys, so that we can, I guess, have a bit of interaction with you guys. Oh, here's Alice. Very good. Welcome, Alice from Turin. Nice. So we have very good to be from Turin. Okay, I hope you're doing well. I hope your weekend is going well. Oh, here we go. Hey, Sean.
Hello, hello. Sorry, everyone, there was some confusion there, but I'm here now. Hello, my name is Sean. I'm Irish, and I also work in Milano Meravigli. Nice to meet you all. How are you, Cathal?
Doing well, doing well. I mean, it's Saturday morning, and we're chatting with the students. Uh, so I guess we're chatting with someone, which is good. Which is better than the other alternative, which is just sitting at home, I guess.
Yes, the quarantine. No better way to spend our time, definitely.
Exactly, exactly. Oh, here we go. We've
Mm,
got Luca here. Luca, good to see you again.
mm.
Because
Yes,
I
nice
think
to
he's a
see you
camera
too.
from Bologna. Very good.
Yes, from Bologna.
Nice.
Very good.
So
Anyway,
here
so
we go.
today's
Yeah.
focus was paradise on earth. So, talking about paradise destinations, looking at destination reviews, and using colloquialisms to describe places. So, since none of us are allowed or leave the country, I thought maybe it'd be nice to imagine that we can. And thinking about travel reviews and colloquialisms, which
Mm.
are conversational ways of describing places, of talking about places. Okay, we'll get started, I think.
Okay. Sorry. There we go.
So, paradise. What springs to mind when you hear the phrase paradise on earth? Springs to mind is a nice phrase, isn't it? What does springs to
Yeah.
mind mean, Cathal?
So if something springs to mind, it's kind of like what you immediately think of when you hear a certain phrase.
Yes, exactly. So, what springs to mind when you hear the phrase paradise on earth, Cathal?
Ooh, this is an interesting one. I guess for everyone it's different. For me, anyway, I would say paradise on earth looks at my kind of image that I have in my head would be like sandy beaches and like
Yeah.
lots of palm trees, beautiful sunshine.
Mm,
That's
yes,
kind of
for me as
paradise.
well. For me as well, definitely the beach, very
Hmm.
warm weather. But in our
Yeah,
picture here, we have, I think it could be Ireland, something close
yeah,
to where we come from. So maybe for some people, this is their paradise on earth. There's an idiom, fields are always greener far away. Fields
mm,
are always greener far away. So it means that which you're not used to is always seems nicer. So we imagine a beach, maybe in hot countries they imagine something like Ireland.
mm.
It's interesting.
Nice.
Do you think you've ever seen a paradise on earth? Describe it.
Ooh. So maybe we'll give the guys a second. Maybe they can tell us. Oh, very good.
Yeah,
Yeah, Luca, very good. The beach. He's
the
also
beach.
a big
Mm.
fan. A big fan. So while we're waiting for, I guess, do you want to talk about seeing a paradise on earth?
Mm-hmm. Um, I don't know if I've ever seen a paradise on earth. Um, the closest I can think is maybe when I was in Paris. It's not maybe conventionally paradise, but it was so beautiful. For me, it was very strange to be somewhere where the surrounding was so beautiful because
Oh,
certainly Dublin is not such a consummately beautiful city as Paris is anyway. I
you're
was
right.
not used to it. Have you ever seen a paradise on earth?
Yeah, I think so. I would say I agree with Luca on this one because I visited New Zealand a long time ago now when I was much younger with my family, and yeah, as he says, the landscape uh, like the nature was not contaminated, just very calm and like serene. I would say it would be the best kind of way to describe it. Just so relaxed, and everything was just seemed like it was perfect, like it was just put there perfectly, you know.
Wow, sounds great. Yes,
Mm,
very natural landscape.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes. So now we have you heard of any holiday destinations which are renowned for being idyllic? So some
Mm,
vocabulary here. To be renowned. What does to be renowned mean? What do you think?
be renowned.
Hmm.
So, Luca here is saying, yes, I've been in Kenya. Oh, okay, very good, Luca. Now, one thing, we wouldn't say I've been in Kenya. We'd say I've been to Kenya.
Yes. Very important. So we have renowned and idyllic also. Idyllic. A nice phrase for paradise. So I think idyllic means somewhere that is like paradise. Very calm, very peaceful, very serene, and very beautiful.
Mhm.
So while Paris, for me, it was very beautiful. Like in that way, it was like paradise. Paris is not idyllic because it's very busy, it's very bustling, it's very noisy. A definition of renowned, Cathal, you give us one.
Yeah, so renowned, I guess, is just a term that we use for to say that it is well known.
Yeah, yeah. Well known, acclaimed, exactly. Very good.
Right. So idyllic and renowned.
Hmm.
Okay. So I think for me, I heard a long time ago when I was when I was about to go to New Zealand. I heard before that New Zealand was renowned for being idyllic.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
Other places such as maybe like the mountains in like close by to where we are right now
Yeah,
would be idyllic also. Um,
yeah, definitely, yeah.
for sure, they're all
Yeah,
very.
I think I think that I've heard the south of France is very idyllic, places like that. I think there's a lot of beautiful places in the world anyway.
Mhm. The west
Hmm.
of Ireland, even we could say the west of Ireland.
Yeah, yeah, it's not
Idyllic.
bad. It's not bad, is it? Have you been to Connemara, Cathal?
I have, yeah. I've spent time in Connemara, in an Irish speaking community. So when I was a
Oh,
teenager.
oh. Did you learn much
So
Irish?
oh, I learned absolutely none of it. None of it.
Of
It
course
was
not.
more a lot more activity. So
Yes, of course. Okay. Luca spent a week on Child's Island. It was idyllic. Have you heard of Child's Island? I have not.
I've never heard of it before. Maybe Luca, you can tell us where it is.
Yes, please do. Please share.
Yeah, I
So,
have
what
no idea
makes a
where.
place paradise? For you, what makes a place a paradise? Which of these are the most important in making a destination idyllic? So we have some factors: the atmosphere, experiencing a new culture, the landscape, things to do, monuments, museums, and tourist attractions. An interesting question again. So, for you, what makes a place a paradise? Please tell us in the comments what's the most important thing for you, and we'll discuss it. So, Cathal, do you think the atmosphere is important?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
If you're searching for like a particular type of holiday, then the
Mhm.
atmosphere when you reach that destination is, of course, very, very important. So if you're
Yeah.
looking for a party uh, holiday, I guess the atmosphere will be much different to that of the idyllic paradise.
Yes, very much.
Mhm.
So Luca has come through. It's a little island between Kenya and Tanzania. Very
Oh, wow.
interesting. So we're learning too today, Carl. So yeah, the atmosphere, I think it's very important for making a destination idyllic because again, like I said, it's difficult for somewhere to be peaceful if it doesn't have that kind of energy, that kind of atmosphere.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's not idyllic per se, but I know Dublin, which is very popular with tourists. I think it's really down, it's because of the atmosphere. It's down to the atmosphere
Absolutely.
because it's not very beautiful per se, but it has a kind of interesting energy, interesting atmosphere.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
And I guess the
What about
second point then as well would be one for, we could say, for Dublin as well, experiencing a new culture, because maybe if
mm,
people have not um, seen Ireland before, or they've not spoken
yeah.
to anyone from Ireland before, it might be a bit of a shock to arrive in Dublin
Yeah.
and speak to people too.
No, I remember my father telling me, my father is Italian, and he came to Ireland, and when he first came, he imagined it would be like England because he had been to London. So he thought this won't be new, and he was left completely shocked, completely thrown. It was a whole other culture, a whole other kind of people. So it was interesting for him.
Yeah, yeah, I'd imagine so.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. So yeah, maybe Luca, you can tell us about Chales Island. You can tell us what was
Yeah.
the atmosphere like? What was the experience? I imagine an island between Kenya and Tanzania would be a very interesting culture to
Mm.
experience.
Have you ever been outside Europe, Cathal? I have not.
So I've only been outside Europe once or twice, and that was
Mm.
for so the family holiday that I mentioned earlier
Yeah.
with New Zealand. We visited Australia on our way back because our we have family in Australia, so we decided to visit them.
Mm-hmm.
And so there, and also I went to America 2 years ago to visit New York.
Okay, okay.
So yeah,
Very nice.
the culture differences between America, Australia, New Zealand are out for sure very very different.
Oh, very different. Interesting. Even though we all speak the same language, yeah, we are very different, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay, good. The landscape, yeah. Is the landscape important for making a destination idyllic?
for sure, for sure. So like I mentioned earlier about the mountains and the lakes and such for New Zealand, even
Yeah.
the west coast of Ireland, like we said before, can
Mm-hmm.
boast a very very nice landscape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, usually we think of very dramatic landscapes as idyllic because they're quite attractive, quite beautiful, and certainly in the mountains, the air is very different and it's very calm and very fresh air. I think,
Yeah,
yeah, it's very important.
absolutely.
Things to do in an idyllic place.
I mean, maybe you don't want to do many things in an idyllic place, and maybe the idea is that you go there to relax and to get away from kind of your everyday activities. Um,
Yeah, 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 Japan. Okay.
so
Luca is telling us
yeah,
some more. It's an atoll. Very good vocabulary. An atoll. It's a kind of very thin island, isn't it? It's the top of a
hmm
coral, isn't it? I think. I'm not sure. Very
yeah,
peaceful. Oh, romantic for a honeymoon. Wow, lovely. Yes.
Ah,
What's a honeymoon, Cathal? Cathal?
he
No?
is selling this place in my life. Wow.
Mm. Yeah, very good.
So again, guys, if anyone has any other ideas and you want to tell us what for you makes a place a paradise, tell us like of these couple of points here, what do you think are the most important um,
Mm.
parts which make a destination idyllic? So the last one that we have, Sean, is monuments, museums, and tourist attractions.
Mm.
So you mentioned your trip to Paris there and how
Yes, yes.
it was very idyllic. Would
Yeah.
those have played a part?
Yes, certainly in Paris, I mean, the monuments and these kind of things they create an atmosphere in the city. You know, you can always see the Eiffel Tower, you can always see Notre Dame before it burned, unfortunately. But I think it always constantly contributes to the energy, to the feeling of the place.
Hmm.
I think maybe sometimes visiting the monument is not very idyllic because
Yeah.
of the tourists, unfortunately, certainly in Paris and here in places. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, interesting. Another important aspect, the food.
Very important,
Very
I'd say,
Italian
for
concern.
anyone. Yeah.
Mm, mm. For you, which is the most important, Cathal?
For me, I guess like whenever I go on holidays, I generally like to do a lot of things. So if I like, I would say things to do is a very important thing for me, because like I can relax at the weekends, but if I go on holiday, I want to be doing something and active and like learning about new things. So maybe yeah, a combination
Mhm.
of experiencing a new culture and things to do would be my two. What about you, Sean?
For me, I'm often interested in the monuments and the museums, things like
Hmm.
that. But I think really the most important for me is the atmosphere, just
Hmm.
the way the place makes you feel, how it can be positive. Mm.
The vibe, you could say. The vibe is another kind of
The vibe, yeah. A
very important.
colloquialism for atmosphere, vibe.
Hmm. But Alice
Mm.
also agrees, I think, there with with Luca and us in
Food,
our summation. The
food,
food is very, very important.
yes. Yeah,
I mean, ask
they
any Italian. It's
they say that there's a psychological thing where the example they use is with French wine, where if you're
Okay.
drinking French wine in France, it tastes absolutely incredible. If you buy the wine and take it home, it does not taste as good. It's a
Ah,
psychological thing that they talk about where the atmosphere really contributes to how the things taste, and I suppose the wine contributes to the atmosphere. I'm not sure.
yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that as well. In even from our own Irish experience as well, that Guinness. Anytime I taste Guinness outside of Ireland, it's
Mm.
it's not really the same experience as it would be at home.
Yeah, definitely not. No, no. I have never had Guinness here, and I don't think I'm interested.
I only had it once, but I think I'm not going to have it ever again.
No, no good.
No good, no good.
Okay, so please keep telling us about idyllic locations, about the holidays you've been on, different things like this. And we'll discuss this vocabulary here. So useful phrases. What do the underlined words and phrases mean? We stayed in the heart of the city. So this is a very nice way to say in the city center, in the absolute center of the city, in the heart of the city. So in an Italian city, it's usually the most historical part of the city center. Very good. The next sentence, Cathal, how about you take that one?
Yeah, number two there says it was packed and vibrant, a bustling town. Wow, so we've got lots of different phrases, terms here. So Luca, yeah, very good in the center, very good in the heart. So maybe guys, could you tell us what do you think these phrases mean? So packed, vibrant, bustling. So we know what a town is, but bustling, vibrant, packed. These are really, really good words to use for describing a place.
Mm.
So I think
What
at the
cities can
moment,
you think of that would be packed or vibrant? An
ooh,
example.
an example, who for sure, New York, I would say, would
Yes.
have to be
Yeah.
packed and vibrant. Maybe Barcelona, maybe.
Yeah, I think very vibrant, certainly. Yeah.
Yeah. For at the moment anyway, nowhere in Italy is packed, vibrant, and bustling. um,
Usually Milan is quite bustling now, but at
yeah,
the moment, absolutely not. The contrary.
yeah, for sure. So packed, guys, is a phrase that we use for crowded. Whenever we want to say that a place is crowded, we say that it is packed. If we want, we could also say, I mean, packed could be used in a positive sense. Sean, would you say that packed could be used in a positive sense?
Yes, but also negative, I think. It
Yeah,
depends.
exactly. Yeah. So, like, if you say that maybe in in a sports stadium, if the stadium is packed, that's a good thing because then maybe that helps the atmosphere. Whereas if you're on a metro or a train and the train is
Yeah.
packed, then that's the opposite. It's negative. So you could say packed or crowded for negative or positive. Or in fact, maybe if you think about the train and the subway stations, the metro stations in Japan, you could also say this phrase rammed.
Yeah.
Certainly quite an Irish phrase that we would use anyway. If, like, for example, there was a pub and there was a lot of people in the pub, you could say, "Oh, the pub was rammed." There's just so many people in it. Uh,
Yes.
so
Positive or negative for a pub to be rammed? What's your perspective?
I think if you're in a rammed pub, it's negative because there's not
Mm.
enough space for uh,
Mm.
for everyone to kind of
Yeah.
comfortably stay.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
what would you
great.
say is vibrant, Sean? How could we describe vibrant?
It's difficult. I think vibrant is kind of very positive. We were talking about atmosphere and energy. Very young, very lots of things happening, a lot of energy, a lot of positivity and potential. These kind
Hmm.
of things, I would say. A lot of
Okay,
color, a lot of life.
nice. So could you describe a person as vibrant then?
Yeah, sure. If they were very lively, very happy, very full of energy, I think,
Hmm.
yeah, a vibrant person, certainly.
Nice. Okay. And so then the last one, a bustling town. So as we said, that Milan is usually quite a bustling town. So bustling is just another way to say busy. So bustling or busy.
Yeah,
All right.
very good. So the next one. The castle was vast and run down. So here we're talking about one building, but you could talk about a city also being vast and run down. Why not?
Mhm.
So a vast city, Cathal.
So a vast city, sorry, is quite a large city. You
Mm,
could say it's very wide as well. It's like it stretches out for a long distances. So
yeah,
maybe Rome could be described as quite a vast city, because
yeah,
the area that it covers is very large.
yeah, exactly. Because I think Milan is a big city, but not a vast city. Milan has a high population, but it's not so spread out. It's not so vast. It's not so big. And run down, it's not very positive, run down. I think certainly I would consider Dublin quite run down in places.
Mm,
Um, and I think well, it depends. Some people think it contributes to the atmosphere if somewhere is a bit run down. But it's just when things are not in perfect condition, especially something historic which has not been taken care of, which has not been restored. If it's run down, it's crumbling, or the window is broken, it's not been painted, things like this. Yeah.
yeah,
Number
absolutely.
four, Cathal?
Number four is I'd never come across a place quite like it. So I'd in this case is the contraction for um, I had never come across it. So that's saying like in your whole life, you had never. So to come across something is like it's a phrasal verb first of all. So to come across something is a phrasal verb, which means to kind of find something, or maybe you had never seen something.
Yeah, exactly. To find something. Luca has a very good synonym for rundown, I think ruined. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
very good.
same, it's the synonym.
Excellent, excellent.
So number five, it was off the beaten track, tranquil and unspoiled. So tranquil, I think you understand because it's the same in Italian.
Mhm.
But off the beaten track, this is an interesting idiom.
Mm,
So the beaten track, the track is like the road, and if to beat is to knock on it. So if the road has been knocked on, has been walked on a lot, it's the beaten track. So if you leave the beaten track, if you leave the road where everyone walks, you go somewhere less central, more rural, more unknown, more unexpected, less frequented by tourism. Yes. And
mhm.
usually it is also unspoiled, which we discussed earlier. I think um I think not contaminated was what Lucas said is a good way of understanding unspoiled. Unspoiled landscape, there's no agriculture, it's not been changed, it's just wild and free.
Yeah,
Yeah?
very good.
Hmm.
So maybe for anyone, any of our students watching, because I know that possibly some of our French students and Spanish students might be watching now. If tranquil is not immediately obvious, um, tranquil, it's
Oh
the same
yeah.
in Italian. However, tranquil in English is basically the same as saying that it's kind of quiet and peaceful.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so tranquil, quiet, and peaceful.
So number six, Carl?
Yeah, I strolled past the palm trees. lined up side by side along the beach. So yeah, strolled and side by side. So the phrase side by side literally just means they are beside each other directly. Okay, side by side. Uh, and then stroll, as it's used, it's a verb here. To stroll is simply to walk in a relaxed manner, in a relaxed way.
Yes. It's very idyllic to stroll along the
Hmm.
beach, certainly.
Yeah, like you have no place to go. Quite the opposite of Milan. Milanese people tend not
Yeah,
to stroll anywhere. They're just constantly running from place to
that's
place.
true. Yeah. Certainly in Rome or in other cities in Italy, everybody strolls or walks
Mm,
slowly, but in Milan.
absolutely.
Okay, there was too much to take in as we drove across the breathtaking landscape. So, too much to take in is actually positive. It means that there's so much that is beautiful that it is challenging to process. To take in is a phrasal verb meaning to see and to understand, to process, to take in. And breathtaking landscape, if anything is breathtaking, it's so wonderful, it's so beautiful that when you see it, you go, you can't breathe. You do that. You kind of gasp. You can't breathe. You lose your breath for a second. You are surprised and shocked by how beautiful it is. And the last one, Cathal?
Yeah, the mountains form a backdrop to the town. Um, so backdrop is just a phrase. So anything that's like behind something is the backdrop. So you could say like the backdrop at the moment for for me in this lesson is just my wall of my bedroom. Um,
Yeah.
whereas the backdrop for the town, so when you look at the town from a distance, the backdrop is what is behind it, and so the mountains were behind the town.
In some parts of Milan, you can see the mountains. When it's a
Hmm.
clear day, of course, because usually it is not in Milan.
Yeah,
But
today is not a
from
very
my
clear day.
no, from my street, you can see the Alps on a clear day.
Nice, very nice.
It's a backdrop.
Hmm. So, guys, if you have any problems or if there's anything here that you don't understand, please let us know so that we
Hmm.
can address it and talk about it so that we can, I guess, answer your questions if you do have any problems.
Yeah. And if any of the vocabulary makes you think of an experience you had or a holiday you went on, please share. We're very interested to know about the places you went to. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So here we have a review. Can you read this review, Cathal, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's easy to lose yourself in the narrow, winding streets of Marrakesh, and we mean that both literally and metaphorically. Smell the spices in the air, brush up on your haggling at one of the bustling markets, then sip mint tea in the Majorelle garden, end your day lounging in the rooftop garden of your Riyadh, watching the sunset over this timeless city.
Mm,
Okay.
very evocative, no?
Yeah, absolutely.
To be evocative is to make you feel something, to make you imagine the place. Actually, a note for the Italians, maybe not the French or the Spanish people watching. But Italians often say suggestive to mean evocative. It's a false friend, suggestivo and suggestive, because suggestive in English has a whole other meaning, which I think we won't get into, but evocative. This is the meaning of evocative. So we have lots of vocabulary here. In the narrow, winding streets of Marrakesh. So narrow is thin. A lot of cities in Italy certainly narrow, and then winding is not straight. They move, they turn. And we mean that both literally and metaphorically. Okay, interesting point. What do you think they're saying there, Cathal?
So when they say, I mean, I guess they're referring to the phrase "to lose yourself."
Hmm.
And so this phrase can be used, as they said, both literally and metaphorically. So to lose yourself can be kind of to get lost, like to not know where you are,
Yes.
um, or to lose yourself metaphorically is to kind of in your mind or kind of consciously you're taken away from your physical place. So you're able to
Hmm.
lose yourself in whatever um, the atmosphere. So clearly, the atmosphere is having an effect on you. So mentally, you're kind of disconnecting from the physical world.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. So smell the spices in the air. Brush up on your haggling at one of the bustling markets. Again, we have bustling. And then we have to brush up, which is a phrasal verb. And to brush up means to improve, to revisit a certain skill. So if you brush up on your English, you practice your English, you engage with your English. And then brushing up on your haggling. Haggling is something specific in a shop or a market when you debate the price of something. And I think certainly in the Arab world, in Morocco, to haggle is very standard, it's very common. And then sip tea, mint tea in the Madrel garden. And to sip is to drink in a very slow, relaxed, very small amount. So to sip very slowly. We use sip with tea very often because it's how you drink tea. Very good. And the last sentence, I think maybe lounging. They don't know. I'm not sure.
Potentially, yeah. So lounge is as a verb. It just means to relax, to sit down, and to relax somewhere. Um, and maybe if somebody doesn't understand what the riad is basically just a Moroccan style house.
Yes, very good. Have you been to Morocco, Cathal?
I've never been, although I've heard a lot of stories about people who have visited Marrakesh, some positive
Yeah.
and some negative as well. So
Oh,
I'll have to see for myself, I guess, what
I
kind
have
of
only heard positive myself, but it depends. Everyone has different experiences.
yeah.
Mm,
All right.
very good.
Okay. Let's go on. So that's a kind of typical kind of review, I guess, Sean, right? Of something.
Yes, definitely. In a
So
travel review, certainly, you have to make them feel like they're there, you know?
exactly. Okay. So here we have a new slide now of your own experience. So we want to know you guys. What have you guys ever been to a place that? I guess tell us about your experience using the new vocabulary that we just discussed. And so, what do you think, Sean? Have you ever been to any place around the world that you would describe using these phrases?
Hmm. For somewhere with breathtaking views, I don't know if you have been yet, Cathal, but certainly in Tuscany, really the landscape takes your breath away. It's very special, very particular.
Nice, yeah. I visited
Hmm.
Florence once, um, and when I
Yeah.
visited Florence, for sure the views around the city were breathtaking. Absolutely.
Yes. And certainly if you leave the cities in Tuscany and go really into the countryside, it's like nowhere else. It's really particular, very special.
Yeah.
How about you, Cathal? Your experiences of paradise?
I mean, so when I visited New York, it was a bustling town. Um, but my I was visiting a friend of mine when I was there. So he had been living in New York for I think 6 or 7 months by then. So he knew certain parts of the city quite well, and he decided to show us a small um, snooker or pool bar that was quite off the beaten track. It wasn't on like the kind of Times Square or Battery Park, anywhere like that, or Madison Square Garden. It was away from all of those places, and a really, really nice kind of fresh take on New York. Because you see New York in postcards, and you think, oh,
Yeah.
the Statue of Liberty and like the Empire State Building. So
Hmm.
it's really cool
Yes,
thing.
Luca has shared about New York, actually. I think Brooklyn, not Brooklyn, Brooklyn has breathtaking views of Manhattan and it's off the beaten track of New York. Exactly, yes. Did you go to Brooklyn, Cathal?
Yeah, so he actually my friend actually lived in Brooklyn at the time. So he worked in the Bronx in the northern part of Manhattan, and then he lived in Brooklyn. So we actually um, we sat on the roof of his apartment building and looked onto the out the city at one of the evenings, and it was really really nice to look at the city from a
Hmm.
bit further away.
Yes, yes, yeah, very good.
Right. So yeah, guys, keep the ideas coming. I realize we're almost out of time. I guess we're just nearly about finished.
Hmm.
Um, so maybe we should do like a quick review. Sean, what do you think? Should we do a quick review
Yeah, yeah,
of
I
the
think
language?
yeah, very much a good idea because I think today a lot of vocabulary, a lot of idioms, which it can be hard
Okay,
to remember unless you review.
so we had the idioms were mainly on this slide here.
Yeah. So in the heart of the city center,
Hmm.
packed, crowded, could be positive or negative. Crowded is negative usually. Vibrant, very hard to say, very youthful, very energetic, very bustling town, very busy town, synonym of busy.
Hmm.
A vast and run down, vast, very large, run down, ruined or not in a good condition. To come across, to happen upon, to discover. The next one's Cathal.
Yeah, so something is off the beaten track. It's not in the kind of typical places, or maybe if it's less well known. Unspoiled, as we said, Luca said earlier, not contaminated, not touched by anything. We had stroll, which is a slow paced and relaxed walk. If something is
Mhm.
side by side, If two things are side by side, they are directly beside each other. If something is too much to take in, then there are so many things to see and to process, to understand, that it seems as if it's impossible. Something is breathtaking, it literally takes your breath away. It's so magnificent, so amazing. Finally, the backdrop for something is the background, what is behind it.
Okay, great.
All right.
Anything
So,
final to add, Cathal?
no, I think these kinds of phrases certainly are very, very useful, and can really help with making your overall spoken English seem a lot more fluent. And so, trying to practice using
Yeah.
these phrases will really help you and benefit you going forward in your English.
Yes, definitely. At this level, it's the most important thing, I think.
Yeah, for sure. But, guys, thank you so much for your time.
Okay, then.
Yeah, and I
Yes,
hope you guys
thank
have
you.
a lovely weekend.
Yes. Bye bye.
Bye, guys.